end of an ICE vehicle era, the internal combustion engine. It seems like Nikola and Tesla fans are just battling it out to who is the best. And with Nikola just going public after their merger today, I thought it was very exciting to kind of break down some of the stuff the CEO says. Now, I'm going to be doing this fairly critically. I do love the company, but there's one thing stopping me from buying it, which I'm going to share with you at the end of this video. But don't hit that dislike button yet. But let's jump right into this.
Drop it.
Welcome back. But passive income investors like to some critical thinking behind VTIQ, that Nikola stock, which, by the way, at the closing bell of today, they're going to have their merger. So the ticker and chart you're seeing here aren't updated. But don't worry, at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you all that updated information. But ladies, gentlemen, we're going to be taking some extreme looks into what the CEO says with all the interviews he's been in lately. We're going to poke some fun and talk about some criticism. So if you can't handle that, you might as well move on from this video. But believe it or not, I actually really like this company. And for all the criticisms we're going to go through, those aren't the reasons I'm not buying it. In fact, at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you the one thing that is keeping me from buying this stock. But ladies, gentlemen, if you've never heard of Nikola before because you've been living under a rock, well, essentially, this is a hydrogen electric hybrid company here, highly focused in the tractor trailer niche. And they do also have their Badger truck kind of competing with the F-150. And they also have a lot of fun sport vehicles like their Sea-Doos and their four-wheelers that are 100% electric, though I think those are more promotional and kind of just publicity stunts than they are going to be profit drivers for the company. They're still very cool nonetheless. Now, before we get into these interviews with the CEO, I just want you to understand one of my biggest bull theses and why I like this company so much is because they're a patent and royalty-based business. And that might be hard to understand because when I got into this, I thought it was a hydrogen company. And then I thought, well, maybe it's a hydrogen and battery company, but they're not really focused on producing those. They're partnering with manufacturers on pretty much everything they do. And I think that is actually brilliant because we're going to hear a lot from the CEO talk about the complications behind manufacturing and constructions like this. But without further ado, just to prove my point, this first little tidbit I think justifies why this is a patent company. So let's just get right into this.
So are you guys kind of surprised at the valuation that it's gone up, pretty rapidly here over the last, 3 or 4 weeks or a couple months, I guess?
What really, the pivotal moment for Nikola when everything started changing completely was when we did the big joint venture with Iveco. That was like the moment. And we'll get into that today if you have any questions on that. Yeah. But we did a huge joint venture with Iveco in Europe. And we were able to use a multi-billion-dollar truck program that they had developed over 4 years to reconfigure with our truck. We already had our own designs, and we essentially laid them over, and they helped us commercialize the entire truck. And this is where we really deviate away from the Tesla model, is we're really big dealership believers. We think that they're probably one of the most valuable assets to your brand.
Now, I pinpointed this information to start it off just to solidify my idea that this is a patent-based company, as I think it's brilliant for them to start partnering. And again, as he says, the biggest pivotal moment was partnering with that trucking manufacturing business. And they even say that they're going to be partnering with all the dealerships and kind of the old infrastructure around the ICE vehicle industry. But if there's one thing, and I just want to get this out of the way right off the hop because I think it's absolutely hilarious, is this CEO loves to say first.
Not the only one. Someone may have created something, but we're the first ones for sure, where you can actually pull power off of the Nikola Badger right to your jet skis, top them off again, and go out for another couple hours on the lake.
So you got load mode, you got a built-in ramp, so you can take a ATV or dirt bike, whatever you want. Yes. Oh, and it's currently plugged in and charging. Yeah.
This is going to be the most fun I'm going to poke at the CEO because I just can't get over how often this guy says, we're first to this, we're first to that. But I think anybody that knows anything about batteries, it's not hard to put like an AC converter so you can plug in just about anything. And I mean, Rivian did it, Tesla did it. So I don't know if he was actually first to this idea, but something tells me I doubt it. But I thought it was funny. I just wanted to point it out. But let's get into some of the highly hyped drama and criticism behind this company, which was basically when they were suing Tesla over their patents.
My listeners would not forgive me if I didn't ask about this. You guys had the lawsuit against the Tesla Semi. I think that turned off a lot of Tesla investors because, as you said, it's sort of, I think a lot of the mission between Nikola and Tesla is similar of like, let's reduce emissions and let's go forward. Yep. So that lawsuit seemed a little bit counterproductive towards that mission. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, this is one that's really hard for me because it was actually misreported by a lot of people immediately, like right up front, that were mad at us for it. They didn't even care about the facts. What they don't know is prior to Tesla launching this truck, we knew about the truck. We knew a lot of details, a ton. And they actually reached out and tried to hire our chief engineer. And so they don't know that Tesla actually was making offers to our chief engineer to try to recruit him away to come compete with us. So we didn't throw the first stone. And on top, and I never went to their chief guys and tried to hire him away ever. We don't want you to come out with something that's using these patents, and here's why we use them. Has nothing to do, well, it has a little bit to do with design. Everyone wants their own design. Everyone wants someone to recognize their vehicle. But that's like 5% of what the lawsuit's even about.
Now, these statements he makes here moving forward start becoming fairly contradictory, and I'm going to break down the entire lawsuit and kind of deep dive into it. But I thought it was absolutely hilarious that Tesla tried to swoop in and steal some of their technical engineers, and then he kind of stands up thinking he's comparable to this conglomerate $100 billion company that, oh, well, we never tried to steal any of your employees. And just talking from a personal perspective, if you're a technical engineer and you got an offer to job from Nikola and Tesla, I mean, what one would you go to? And my guess is you're going to itch to the one that's just dominating the space. But nonetheless, let's just hear the rest of the statements the CEO has about this.
The coefficient of drag was impossible to achieve without moving the door behind the driver. We knew that Tesla's design, because someone had told us about it, we knew that Tesla's design was very similar to ours. We actually reached out to them. We said, hey guys, we want to meet with you. Please meet with us. I want to work with you. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to, we're in this together, you know. But the most important thing is we just don't want you to use our patents, or if you do, we want to work with you so you can do it the right way. And essentially their response was piss off. The hard part is here we are. This is what we are. We're a company. We've raised $1 billion. We have our trucks coming out in production. We want to head start against our biggest competitors in the world. And Tesla's got an unlimited amount of cash. They can borrow money whenever they want and take in as much money as they ever want. Their stock's at $900 a share. They could take $10 billion tomorrow and squash us if they wanted to with losses that they don't even care about. The only thing that allows us to be competitive is the laws in the United States.
Now, first of all, I want to step back in time a little bit because you might remember once upon a time, Tesla actually released the patents on some of their earlier vehicle designs because they wanted everyone else to try and get involved in the space and start, building up the evolution to these electric vehicles. And they also realized how bloody hard it was to get into manufacturing and actually start producing these vehicles. So they knew they were so far ahead of the game, they might as well just release the patents because by the time anybody else catches up, they're going to be slaughtering, which I think is absolutely funny that he brings this up. The reason this is such a contradictive statement, he says, oh, well, the design only has 5% to do with it, and that's all they focused on. But realistically, it's 100% of the design because the patent around the design is where you get kind of the airflow and the efficiencies in the vehicle. But what you have to realize is Tesla's not the only company doing this. And if we take a look at why they're suing, we can actually see a lot of the similarities, why he's saying that the door had to be pushed back behind the front so they could kind of angle it over. And if we scroll down, I mean, they kind of break down the whole lawsuit, but then they also show this, which I think is absolutely hilarious, is Tesla's not the first one to figure this out. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to make a few truck designs, put them in an air tunnel, and see more fuel efficient. So I think it's funny that he so highly focuses this drama toward Tesla, but he's not really suing any of these other manufacturers. And again, guys, when it comes into this drama, people keep forgetting that there are dozens of other auto manufacturers in the same space. I mean, we have Hyundai is coming out with a hydrogen-based truck that also kind of has a similar face design here. Toyota is starting to come out with their hydrogen-based vehicle. And these are things that you have to be aware of. Now, I do think Nikola is going to be ahead of the game in this, and this is something that you have to be aware of. With this kind of idea, this company being focused on patents and royalties, they just want to get to the front of the line first, and then they can diversify and just collect income, which again, I think is a brilliant business model. But please expand your mind just beyond Nikola and Tesla, because there's a lot of other competitors that are about to come into this space.
One thing we've learned is what Elon actually had a lot of trouble with, and this is not against him. Anyone else would have failed. So what I'm saying is that like trying to build your own factory from the ground up is an absolute nightmare. It takes, unless you have billions and billions and billions of dollars to do it, and you're first in market like Tesla was, you're gonna fail. I'm like, whenever someone talks to me, they're like, they want advice on starting a company. I'm like, don't build your own factory. You're gonna go bankrupt. So I didn't want to go down that same path. I was like, look, if they had that much difficulty getting up and running, I'm going to fall flat on my face because I don't have the resources they have right at the time. So we decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a different business model. I'm going to partner with everybody. I'm not going to do anything myself. I'm going to partner with everyone. So now we've started partnering with the biggest people in the world to actually help us. And that's why you've seen the stock go to where it is because now we have In Europe, we have our full joint venture coming out full production, next year. Testing vehicles coming off the line right now. That's 3 years ahead of the schedule we thought we could have done. And next year we have our factory in Phoenix. We'll have limited trucks coming out of there on as well here in Phoenix. We're breaking ground, here shortly at our facility here in Phoenix. But that's all being built and designed by Iveco. So rather than us, where we don't have any factory experience, we're getting the best of the best to come in and actually do it for us.
On here beautifully solidifies my idea on why this is a patent and royalty-based company, highly focused on being first to technology, but not primarily the best, because essentially they can just beat everybody else. They can get the licensing and agreements while everybody else catches up. And I think you should listen to some of what the CEO says. And I'm going to leave all the links to these interviews in the description below, because I think the guy is navigating this ship absolutely beautifully. But what stops me from buying it? Now, if you're a trader, a swing trader, I think this stock has been absolute hype. People have been making a crap ton of money, and congratulations, because there ain't nothing wrong with making money. But from my investing standpoint, I look for companies that I can buy and hold for pretty much the rest of my life. I don't want to have to sell the companies I own. And many of you are aware I own Tesla. That doesn't mean I'm adverse to owning something like Nikola or any of these other companies, but being in my position, I only hold 14 stocks. I spent the last 5 years building a 6-figure portfolio only to hold 14 companies. Now, why do I do that? Why don't I diversify farther? Well, I primarily focus on what I call the best companies on the planet in their given sectors. And so going into my individual portfolios with kind of my philosophy behind how I invest and continue to outperform the market is just strictly focusing on those best companies in their individual sectors. For instance, we could take a look at something like Northland Power. It is a Canadian utility, actually the best performing Canadian utility. And same in the US, Southern Company is one of the top best performing utilities. So why do I need to own a dozen of different utilities when I can just own these two and I can sleep comfortably at night? Same with my real estate investment trust. I only own two. One in Canada, one in the US. In Canada, it's RioCan, and I don't want to own all the different Canadian real estates because I know this is the best one. Now, if I had to make a choice literally between diversifying and choosing Nikola and Tesla, it just doesn't make sense because Tesla has way more growth vectors behind it. Now, in the near term, Nikola has way more growth potential because it's a smaller cap company, but I don't want exposure to that risk or that worry when I can own something like Tesla that owns manufacturing, has set Guinness World Book records for their manufacturing, that are working on self-driving, that are working on solving major problems in a lot of different sectors, and they're owning it. It's not royalty-based stuff. They're not handing it out to other manufacturers. So I think Tesla has basically the superior moat. And I want to sleep easy at night. I want to wake up 20, 30 years from now and know that these companies are going to still be here. And I'm confident that Tesla has a higher percentage of that than Nikola does. And you can argue that and debate that. And that comes down to your personal opinion. But let me give you an example of another company where I kind of had to do the same analytical process. And I'm talking about a company called MindMed. Now, MindMed is in a very interesting space trying to solve trillion-dollar problems which have to do with depression, opioid addiction, and they're trying to do this through psychedelics in an industry that has never been touched before. And I do not care about technicals. I don't care if the stock goes up or down. I'm just curious if they can achieve and basically execute on their plan going into that future potential growth. Now, this is insanely risky, so I have to keep my positions extremely small, and I would be doing the same if I was buying a VTIQ. Now, I think Tesla, on the other hand, has proven that it actually has a moat, and it is attacking something very similar to MindMed. It is trying to solve trillion-dollar problems. VTIQ, Nikola, is not. They're essentially just trying to be the first at this new game, which anybody else can get involved with right now, and they just know if they can get first, get some royalty deals, they could become very profitable. But they're not going to be solving the trillion-dollar market problems that Tesla is, and I'm not trying to cause a massive debate here. I'm just trying to share with you the one reason why I won't buy Nikola, and it's because I just want to own the best. And like MindMed, even though it is extremely speculative and I'm not going to be owning a lot of it, at the same time, they have the best team, they have the best company, they have the most funding, and they are at the forefront of this industry. Now, I know I didn't get into the full business model, the expansion, everything that they're trying to achieve and what they've done already, guys. I just kind of wanted to focus on a little bit more of the CEO and kind of get a good vibe for how I feel about the company and what the actual company is based on achieving. And I'd love to know, again, what you think in that comment section below. But stay cool, stay awesome, and I'll catch you tomorrow.